Honorable Nelson Koech, and all your committee members present, the members of parliament, for this very important committee. My colleagues in the executive, both the two PSs here and our top officials in Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Hamjambo. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Now, my first comment is to really thank the chair of the Honorable Nelson Koech and your teams for being here this morning so that we can have dialogue on this very important issue. The ministry started the journey of reviewing its foreign policy mid this year, and there have been a series of engagements with the different stakeholders. For instance, yesterday we had an opportunity to engage with the Council of Governors. Today we are engaging with yourselves, and there are others that are lined up and others that have also been approached and talked to. I'm sure when the presentation is made of the roadmap to this process, you will get a better picture. Now, the issue I want to put across to you is, what aren't we doing right? You know, I think these are just the basic questions that you can help us answer. What aren't we doing right? What do you think we should do? You have hinted that there are issues that through your studies you are noticing gaps that may be impeding our ability to engage appropriately. So this is where we would want to draw from your observations as much as possible. We are here this morning, and there is a change of government in the US where there's a new president, and we all know that since 1964, for instance, we have been engaging with the United States. But different issues have emerged over time. So we will now be looking at how do we continue to further our national interest as we operate in an environment where there's that. Of course, there are many changes. Half the world was going into election this year, as you may have noticed. But where does Kenya stand as we move forward? What are the things that we need to pivot? What are the things we need to be focused on? What are the pillars? If we may not use the word pillar, what is our North Star? In all these things, what is our North Star when we are talking about our foreign policy? There are tough questions that we want you to help us. Budgetary-wise, how can you help us to strengthen our position? Is it that we have not been giving you sufficient information to help us obtain the necessary resourcing from Parliament? We would be looking forward to your advice on issues of how do we realize our assets globally, because we have assets globally, but are we getting the best value for them? These are factors that I think you would really help us as Parliament so that we work together on some of these things. Sometimes Parliament or the public is consumed with the vetting of ambassadors, to the extent that the ordinary person sometimes just thinks that the job of that committee is going to be vetting ambassadors, because it's perhaps the most visible moment when you're emerging out of an election, or you're just about to have new representatives, and then focus is on you. But I'm sure we all know that it goes beyond. In fact, that is a very minuscule aspect of your responsibilities. But how can we move forward more appropriately? You've talked a lot about the parliamentary democracy, the other institutions that we engage with. Let us see how we can consolidate that even more as we go forward. Then there's the other aspect. Fundamentally, why do we engage? Is because we really want to have a strong partnership, and we want to bring benefits to the people of Kenya. So economic diplomacy becomes very, very essential. We are a free market economy as Kenya. And if we are a free market economy, how does that thread move into our foreign policy? Because you and I, that is the committee, and ourselves, we have this challenge of how do we get foreign direct investment coming into Kenya and benefiting Kenya. So through our policies around here, sometimes we need to be very careful, because we want to be able to project a nation that is clear on its economic policy, but also a nation that focuses on what is right, where do we stand on human rights, where do we stand on democratic principles. Sometimes the government of Kenya is a beneficiary of support through bursaries. Have we, over the years, in our policy, have we defined how we can make sure that there's equity in the allocation of these opportunities to Kenyans, so that we are not accused that Musalia, sitting at the headquarters, is doling out scholarships behind the tent. So what are the issues that we want to bring, so that we also bring transparency around our engagement with the foreign friends, but also connecting with our people? You will recall that during the Gen Z, there was this question that came out, that why does a president travel? What is he going to do? How is it benefiting us? So we need to figure out, can we answer some of these questions by having a more inclusive policy orientation, where people can see meaning and value in the engagements that we are having with our people. Why do we join other entities? Why? What is BRICS? What does it mean to us? Okay. What is the G20? What does it mean to us as a people? What is the G7? What is our role in multilateralism? we want to pursue and make Kenya an international hub for multilateralism. We are lucky. We have the former station of Mheshimiwa there, Hassan, the UNEP, they're here. Habitat is here. And other entities are craving to come here. So we need to ask ourselves, is it of value to us when we have these international entities joining us? Right now, for instance, outside Washington, the largest World Bank hub is now in Nairobi. The largest, outside Washington, D.C. So the World Bank here, becoming the hub for, and they are talking to us, I'm sure my colleagues know, because they also want us to engage a little further so that we can consolidate their position as a hub in Kenya. And therefore, that calls for a partnership on how we look at the host country agreements and how we partner with Parliament to support us in this. Because you can imagine if you heard that they now want to shift their hub to another area. I think we would be failing the Kenyans if we lost the World Bank as a hub, the largest outside the United States, globally rather. No? So these are very, very important issues. And what are the benefits? These people are paid in forex, foreign currency. We need foreign currency here. We need expertise to grow here. We need that to filter back into our arrangements. We have a demography that is youthful. Median age, as we all know, we are 20 for Kenya. 19.6, that's the median age. So what do we project? We project a vibrant society. We project a society where consumption is also going to be high. But we also see a society where jobs are going to be very critical for people to be stable and so forth. How do we convert these seemingly difficult situations into opportunities for the people of Kenya through our foreign policy? We have to answer these questions so that we embed them in our policy. We have to even engage faith-based entities because they can be very strong in matters of humanitarian, mediation, and so forth. We need your help. That is why we are calling you here. That is why sometimes they say there's no free lunch. We also want to say there's no free breakfast. Because we want your committee to help us really come up with a comprehensive strategy which will help Kenyans feel proud of their foreign policy. So that if somebody walks out of here, as you have said, members of parliament, we are not talking at cross purposes. We may have our local competition here, opposition and non-opposition. But surely, when we get out there, we are Kenyans. We are one people. So we can't be seen to be taking our localized politics to those places. So these are the fundamental issues that I really wanted to say that we want your help. Last time I was in Parliament, I think Njogu was there, and the Honorable Mungatana raised one question. And I was actually trembling in my heart that I hope he doesn't pursue this matter. Because he asked the question, Mheshimiwa, nataka uniambie katika hiyo wizara yako, mission zako, ni watu wa Tana River ni wangapi ambao wako kwa missions? So of course I wriggled around kidogo, and he didn't press the pedal further. I was very relieved. You know, but the message he was asking is, when you say it's Kenya's foreign policy, is the deployment of the personnel in the foreign service reflective of that Kenyan foreign policy? Are we being fair when we look at ourselves, when we look at the deployment? These are fundamental issues that we must clear. And we clear by having coherent and objective policy positions on this matter. And that is why I have been insisting that we really must domesticate our foreign policy to get a better buy-in. We have a situation where the challenges of our employees, our officers, men and women, and they're very patriotic, I must admit, because sometimes we deploy them, but we have not taken proper account of the consumer price index in those different countries. We make it look like it is just a unilateral engagement. So I must commend these officers. They've stood out, but sometimes it is extremely difficult because we have not resourced them appropriately. They have families, they have children who must go to school. But have we done justice to them with the policy position that we have been maintaining, which we have been perhaps being hesitant to address and to confront? I want us to confront that so that in our policy position we change things. We have a situation where we must balance. New blood is good, but what are we doing to the professional diplomats in our system? What are we doing to them? A young cadet who joins Foreign Affairs has one ambition. One day, I want to be an ambassador. He or she slogs every morning, every evening, because they want that. Then from somewhere, Mudavadi comes in, kutoka Mululu, and then the next thing, I overlook all these career diplomats, and I just load the place with people who have never been in the system. So what are we doing to our foreign service? Aren't we demoralizing them? So what should be the ratio? Should it be a ratio of 70 in-house developed and 30% infusion? either from the private sector, from other areas, to blend it. So we must make some hard decisions. And those hard decisions can only stand if Parliament is with us. So, langu ni kuomba mtusaidie. Budgetary wise, motivation, what kind of legal framework should we look at? What should be the consequential amendments that we must look at in the law that we have? How do we focus on the young people? By the way, we have also engaged the youth. This team has engaged on what they're engaging various critical youth, young people on what they think should be part of our foreign policy. So there's a big issue, and we have this series going, and ultimately we also want to have an opportunity where the president will also comment and give his views to us as a nation on what he sees as his vision on foreign policy, so that by the time we are done, and we want then to present it to you as Parliament in the form of a sessional paper, and you in turn will also go through further processes according to the standing orders. We want ultimately to be able to say that this time we have a coherent foreign policy. We must devise, when should we review this? Should it be a 10-year cycle? Or what should it be? My colleague PS has talked about the diaspora angle. We must look at it critically. Right now, we are in touch with the World Bank, and they are saying that Kenya is now ripe for a successful diaspora bond if it is structured properly. We are getting close to 700 billion from the diaspora annually, but we have an opportunity that maybe in the next few years, maybe by 2027 or 2028, it might hit $1 trillion of inflows. It is now a critical factor in stabilizing our exchange rate against the hard currencies. So we need then to figure out what should be our policy position in these critical areas and translate it to a determined and deliberate foreign policy approach. So these are the questions that I thought we need to go into in depth, so that we can get reasoned positions, which we can truly say are broadly collective. There'll always be a divergence, but broadly collective in terms of how we move forward. So thank you so much for listening to me. I hope I've not spoiled your breakfast, but it was really to provoke you so that you can help us come up with a very, very good position, which can stand the test of time. Thank you so much, and we really appreciate and will value your support, not just now, but all through until the end of this process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for those thought-provoking remarks. Somebody was alluding that we could actually, for those who are from Foreign Affairs, give you a standing ovation because you have touched the core to the Foreign Service. But let's acknowledge again our Honorable Prime Cabinet Secretary for those remarks. I think the questions he's posed here they are going to shape the discussions when you go to the plenary. And the they will help us, particularly the team crafting the foreign policy, to be able to really enhance it. So with those, I want to invite Ambassador Lucy Kiruthu, who is going to take us through the presentations on the draft we have, and then after that, she'll also present over the plenary discussions. So Ambassador Lucy, and we had agreed that we'll have more time for the plenary to be able to capture